Mm-hmm. Hello, my name is Darren DeLon, and this is Gary Five. We are going to be your host for Indian Time today. Jason Salzman and Jessica McBride, they're out for this one, so we decided to go ahead and take over for just this time. How you doing today, Gary?
Oh, casual Friday.
Yeah.
But it's been kind of a quiet week, I think, in comparison to some of the intense kind of stuff we've done.
Yeah.
I've been on this show.
Exactly, yeah. I haven't been on here for a little bit, too, so yeah, it's kind of feels good to kind of come back and get to it. So we can go ahead and get started. First thing I want to talk about is the memo that we got this morning about the Muscogee Nation Dome that's located within our Cloud Cox Omniplex. They're getting new fitness equipment.
Great.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty cool thing. I went over there and talked to recreation manager over at Tourism and Rec, Roger Johnson, and I was asking what was going on, and eventually, with what he was telling me is with with fitness equipment, so many people working on it, so many people going out. I mean, it does wear and tear, and with something like that, they wear and tear quickly. I mean, honestly, those are just 2 years old.
Well, it's a good sign that they are being used to that degree. I know our crew here, particularly with the graphics, are over there a lot during their breaks. Now, I was looking at it the other day and couldn't figure out what half of it was. So, do you know, like, what particular areas of the body or whatever else it's designed to work on?
With those equipment?
Yeah,
pretty much. If I mean, like, I don't use all of them, but there are. I do know what they do. I mean, whenever if I wanted to try it, there's been a couple people there that will help me, and sometimes I can help them whenever they need it as well.
Now, this is for overall fitness and not necessarily body sculpting or anything.
No, just overall fitness. Yeah, just everybody who wants to get more healthy and better in shape. That's what they need to come over there for. Yeah, and like you said, whenever you say it's kind of a good thing, that's the exact same thing that Roger said, kind of a blessing and a curse. A blessing that we are able to get new equipment over there, but also a curse that that equipment that's kind of like gave out after like 2 years. But the announcement was about it was going to be at 5 o'clock Monday, April 18th, that the dome was going to be closing to get all the equipment moved in. When I spoke to Roger, they're saying that they're going to be moving that equipment in, probably starting at 8 a.m. that day. So they're going to be moving in and out the old equipment and the new equipment. So that's going to be kind of an all-day thing. So I'm going to say, not unless they update us here pretty soon or within before Monday, I'm going to say that I'm not going to say it's going to be closed, but that equipment's probably just not going to be in service.
Now, what about overall access to the dome? Has that changed? I remember seeing something about you needing to flash an employee ID or something.
Either show your ID or show your citizenship card.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one. But yeah, it's free to citizens. It's free to other tribes too. You can just go in there and just show your ID that you belong to a tribe and sign in. You're good to go. I mean, that's the one great thing about it. That's what I enjoyed. Yeah.
Yeah, and it gives you some measure of security there that someone off the street, so to speak, doesn't wander in and create a problem.
They're really good. They're really good at keeping up with who's signing in. I mean, and a lot of the people here that are or that work there and that that do come there and frequent the dome, they know them. So I mean, they're usually there almost every day, if not every day. So
now, let me ask you this: now, is you mentioned Roger and his crew there? Are they in a position where they can kind of help you work out on a certain piece of gear and obtain the best benefits?
Yes, be able to explain what you're doing and what it helps you do. Yes, Roger is a certified fitness trainer. He does. He can help. I know he does help with personal training of with the people that come in there if they ask for it. Also, there's a couple of others that work there too. One's name is Bridget. She does the Walking Strong on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I believe, at noon. And it's kind of like coincides with the Creek Fit that happens on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Walking Strong is kind of like getting you ready for Creek Fit, I believe. I mean, it's kind of like the little bit under Creek Fit, but it's going to get you ready. It's getting you ready to advance up to Creek Fit.
Now, I saw one part of a session on Creek Fit, and they were doing everything but cracking the whip there. And I'm thinking, I don't think this old body's going to be messing around with that kind of stuff. But you do have to work up to it.
Work up to it, yeah. And I mean, like I said, there's nothing wrong with being that, like, if you feel you can't do that one. He's always had a modified version with the Creek Fit, and there's the same like with Walking Strong. There's a modified version if you just can't do what she needs you to do there. But I mean, there's some people that do the modified version. I've done it. I've done the modified versions before of any of the workouts. So I mean, it's just you're still getting the same benefit. It's just a modified way of doing it.
Right now, for those folks who are interested, what are the hours?
Hours right now, I think I know, is Monday through Friday, 8 to 8. It goes from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then also on Saturdays, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to need Roger and them to clarify this with me. I think they go from 12 to 5. I can always double check. And right now, I do not have their number. It went blank on me. I mean, when I was talking to you, it just went blank. So I apologize about that.
Well, they have their website though. You could, if you want to pull up the website, we should point them to Tourism and Rec's website.
Yeah, I'll look up that right now.
And I want to mention while Darren's looking this up, at 4 o'clock today, on the council complex over by the Veterans Memorial on the northwest corner of the complex, they're going to be planting a poplar tree in memory of Mike Berryhill. It's part of the canoe project, but there should be a big turnout. We're going to have some footage from it, after the fact. But if you're sitting at home right now and you're watching this and you can make it there, you've got 30 minutes. And I'm sure they'll start probably a little bit after 4. But all right.
Okay. Well, the week has been a bit easier than usual for me, but I started out with a project I thought was pretty cool. I've got to spend an hour with James Pepper Henry at the museum, Gilcrease Museum. Now, he is the first Native American director of that museum, and I think that's a wonderful stride forward. We had a nice chat about some of his history, and he comes to this job with quite a pedigree.
Yes.
He been at the National Museum of the American Indian. When I first met him, he had just moved into Anchorage, Alaska for the museum at the Rasmussen Center there. And then you ran across him later on down south in Arizona.
Yeah, exactly. Chelsea Rich and I were covering, it was an event for it was Native Americans in sports. And it was at the Heard Museum in Phoenix, Arizona. And of course, he was a director at the Heard Museum. So it was very, Billy Mills was there, Comanche Boy George Tatanapper was there. But another thing, one of our paintings, like it was a stickball painting, and I think it was, I can't remember who painted it, but it was might have been Drum Tiger. Yes, I think you're right. Thank you, Jared. But it was down there. They refurbished it. That's the right word. Yeah, they refurbished it and cleaned it up. It looked great, and they had it hung on there. And I guess what they do among museums is they put it on loans, like they let like other articles be loaned out and everything just to show off the art. But tell me a little bit. I got to meet him, but you got to do an in-depth interview.
Well, I was primarily interested in the fact that he was like the first Native American, and I grew up in Tulsa, and all of my recollections and our perceptions was, and don't get me wrong here, it was kind of a rich white man's club kind of thing, like most museums are. They've got their supporters and backers, and they go to their tea parties and things like that. And we finally saw him. I asked him about that, and he said, "Well, it has been kind of elitist, as are many, if not most, of the museums in the nation." And I asked him, what does he bring to it, and to sort of change that perception. And he said more outreach to the community, more interaction with tribes on exhibits and things like that, and a recognition that Tulsa is a very diverse place.
Mm-hmm.
And actually the museum is sitting in Osage County, just across the border.
Yeah.
And it's up near the north side of Tulsa, and he reminded me that's where those race riots were.
Mm-hmm.
So he said we wanted some outreach to the African American community so they can, bring in exhibits or discussions or interaction. He made the point that Tulsa's fastest growing community is the Hispanics, and so he's going to try and do what he can to work with that community. I was particularly interested, of course, in our own tribes and things like that. What are you going to be doing in the future that might interact with Muscogee Nation, perhaps, or any other tribes in Oklahoma? There's 39 tribes.
Yeah.
And says, we've got a couple of things coming up, particularly a look at the Trail of Tears from the Cherokee point of view. And then we'll be possibly working with us on things like interchanges of the artifacts from the Council House Museum. And he brought that subject up, and I said, well, right now it's kind of in limbo, and it's a funding dilemma. Where do we put our money? Like health and things like that, where people actually need it, or do we save this historic building? It's a toss up there. It's a tough one. He was interested in doing what he could there, so it was nice to see him looking beyond just the constraints of that ivory tower kind of thing, and break down the perception that it was just a very exclusive elitist club that was participating. So I was really pleased to hear that. Amanda Rutland and I took a stroll down some of the galleries, and particularly looking for some of the Muscogee art.
Mm-hmm.
And funny you should mention the stickball painting, because I saw one there, and I think it's probably the same one.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah.
Yeah, and gorgeous beadwork, displays of Plains Indians trappings and things for a horse.
One thing I was wanting to bring up is like James Pepper Henry. He's done a lot of stuff with National Museum of the American Indian, the Heard Museum, like you said, and the one that yours up there, Rasmussen.
Rasmussen.
And now this is kind of like, I'm not going to say a change, because it's still like with cultural artifacts, still a museum, but it's dealing with diverse other cultures as well. I mean, you're talking, African American, Hispanic, white, and Native American. So, how is he able to answer like that, a question like that? Being able he has to not just deal with kind of one race with all their tribes, but different races, going from there. How was he? I guess willing to go after that?
Well, he did give me an idea that many of their upcoming exhibits would be featuring materials from those communities. For instance, guess what? There's going to be a Frida Kahlo exhibit coming to there, the Hispanic artist. And I said, wow, that's quite a name you're bringing to them. And so that's his goal, to bring more of those well-known kinds of things to Tulsa, and kind of expand what they're doing, so they're not just sort of cooped into the Russells and the Remington Bronzes and the Cowboys and this kind of thing, or the gallery with the Native American stuff. He wants to look into other places to go, and possibly do something on an interaction with the upcoming American Indian Cultural Center and Museum in Oklahoma City. That one's, I fondly call it a museum that will not die. I think it's, I'm looking at what I see is they're finding a solution to get that thing built. And he pointed out it's great, that's been their major struggle, but they have no collection to put in it yet. So he's talking, well, let's see if we can't loan you a few things, and looking forward to saying, well, you're going to have something for people to see when they come in. And they've got a lot of stuff in storage and not on public display that might be available. A few of the major items, the tigers and the AC Blue Eagles and things like that, that will also go on display too. So that was an interesting look into the future that he said would be happening, once that happens.
Looking forward to a lot of great things that he's going to be doing with the Gilcrease. I know, pretty sure the people that attend, Gilcrease Museum a lot, they do have a lot of memberships. Yeah, I know they're looking forward to it too.
Yeah.
Obviously, he knows, they know his name. He's been all over the country, outside of the country too, just exploring, learning. And
30 years in the museum experience, and he said that's kind of new to that particular discipline, because there aren't many Native Americans in there. But he pointed out, there are Native Americans, of course, at the National Museum with Kevin Gover, at the Autry with Rick West, and a lady named Phillips at the Institute for Indian Art. And said, these are major collections headed up by Oklahomans. So he said, we got a leg up on them, so we're taking over. The other things that we talked about were, his perceptions of changes in the community. He says, yes, he could see that happening, but we ain't quite there yet. And that's
true. Yeah.
It's talking of the truth there.
Yeah.
So we were, I was pleased to get that kind of reaction. He didn't dance around it very much. He just gave me the answers to those questions. So we're looking forward to seeing new fun things coming out of the Gilcrease.
Awesome, very awesome. Jared, you want to make another announcement again about the poplar tree?
Sure. I think that's where we're at too. How about that highway closing? You want to?
Oh, definitely. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
Let's go ahead and get up to this. They don't have the details yet, but on Fox23.com there was one killed in a crash near Henrietta on I-40. But I-40 right now is shut down near mile marker 235. Smoke's coming over the highway, and it's closed both the east and the westbound lanes. It was a controlled burn. I guess it's a controlled burn. That smoke just went, might have been just too windy, but that smoke has gone over the highways. And so right now it's just, they shut it down, so traffic's at a standstill. So for the people out there, apology. I know y'all was trying to get somewhere and everything, and I-40 is 70 miles per hour, but being at a standstill right now. So, but yeah, they haven't filled us in on the details yet. But of course, there been one fatality. There's been a crash at I-40 in Henrietta near mile marker 35 or 235, and that's prompted, along with the smoke, to have the highway lanes on eastbound and westbound closed.
Don't drive into the smoke.
Yeah.
You can't tell what's there, and it may be something that create another.
And of course, we were on Facebook. I was looking on that, and there's people that were going on to, I think it's 62, which is a little bit that back road that goes, and I think that smoke is going over that too. And I know that has closed that little highway too. That's a single lane highway, so you got to be very, very careful on those roads as well. So like we said, one killed in a crash on I-40 near Henrietta. And with the controlled burn smoke, it's prompted, it has closed the east and the westbound lanes. So just wanting to give you that heads up. And Jared, could you please give us that announcement again on
the poplar tree?
Yes.
Well, at 4 p.m. they're going to plant a poplar tree just like the tree that they used to make the canoe, and it's in memory of Mike Berryhill, the bow maker. And so that is located on the northwest corner of the tribal complex, just south of the Veterans Memorial. So it's where the cornstalk shoots were held and everything. So they're going to plant the tree, and they're also going to put some poplar shavings around the tree that are from the canoe project. So I think that's going to be the only other thing left with the canoe project is they still haven't done the floating, to make sure that it floats and everything. But this is like the cornerstone of that whole project, the memorial thing.
Mike Berryhill is a historian of Muscogee Creek culture, and Jared has done a lot of things with him. He's made a lot of bows. He was can you say the Muscogee for me? It's just about the bow shoot.
Oh, the Chogadoxi Sachogi. Yeah. So that's the Creek Bow Shooters Society. And Mike was the guy who started all of that, and we put a bow-making documentary. The Cultural Center and Archives is going to be conducting some fundraisers in the future in conjunction with the 501c that are going to be geared towards helping rebuild or refurbish the council house, and that documentary, according to Chris Asbell, who's the Secretary of Interior Affairs,
yeah,
is going to be for sale as part of that project. So, and the reason I mention that is because we had a couple of calls this week to us before any of this came up, talking about where can we get the bow making documentary, because they know we shot it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I directed it to them. So if you're in the audience and you're watching and you want to get a copy of that bow making documentary, contact Chris Asbell or the Cultural Center and Archives here, and they can try to work things out and figure out. I think they're still getting copies made, but they are going to put it up for sale, etc. So, and I talked to Chris and some of the people involved with the 501c just in the background, and I was telling them, one of the things that the Cultural Center and Archives ought to look at in the future is having John Brown,
yes,
who's now running the Chogadoxi Sochogi. He was the guy that Mike handpicked to hand that responsibility onto. Have him come in and do, kind of redo the bow making documentary with some of the equipment, like modern equipment in HD and stuff, and have Mike's section as a callback to kind of continue that legacy that we're seeing form with that society, because now we've gone through, the transition period from where, it's not just a few guys now out there, just doing it, and who knows, that's one of the things that when I used to talk to Mike about that he was worried about is, he would say, we've put all this work into this, and what's going to happen, if is it going to get carried on? And I used to tell Mike, there will be guys that come like John who are going to pick up that torch, and keep going, and they have, and they're running with it. So it's even expanding now to other, cultural arts, et cetera, et cetera. So contact the Cultural Center and Archives about all that, and if you can make it out there. You've only got about 5 minutes now.
Yeah.
But if you can make it out there, check it out. If not, we're going to have coverage on it, because we sent Devaney out to get some footage on it and probably try to get an interview. I know we had Chris on the program this week, and Chris really was pumping that up. So
perfect.
So.
All right, well, we can go ahead and get on with it. Next thing on our little lineup is the announcement. So I'll go ahead and have Gary go ahead and start us off.
A couple of real important ones that involve this department.
Yeah.
Right now, we're looking at offering photography services for graduates.
And is that on the website there? Can you pull that up? The one Gary has, the graduation announcement?
We'll look for it. Yeah.
There are a couple of things there that we want to look at. First of all, if you're a senior, you're graduating, and you want this department to do some photography, the order deadline is April the 29th. And give us a call at 732-7720. Now, this is a service that has returned to Muscogee Media. Okay. And you'll want to be working with Chelsea on that one. So there you are. The 29th is the deadline. Also, for the newspaper to get into the graduation special section, that deadline is May the 13th at 5 p.m. on Friday. And there will be no exceptions on that. So if you're late, you're out of luck. I know we had only a couple of people who missed it last year, but we don't want to disappoint anybody. So we're letting you know now that the deadline is May the 13th. You need to supply a digital photo of high quality and a profile, so that fills us in on who you are and your clan and your church, your school, whatever else that's important to us. So remember those 2 dates, April 29th for photographs and the 13th for the graduation announcements for the special section in Muscogee Nation News. So that's big, important stuff there.
And one thing to remember, too, on that graduate profile form, it has to be 150-word total. No more than that. You can talk to our editor about that. His name is Sterling Cosper. His number is 918-732-7697, or you can email him at scosper, SCOSPER, at muscogeemedia.com. 2 ways to get a hold of him. He's great at responding, very, very quick to do it. So, if you have any questions or anything about these with the graduates in the June 1st edition of the MNN, please get in contact with him.
Right, he's sleeping in the corner, All right. Also, calling all volunteers for the second annual Earth Day cleanup event going on. That'll be going on here in our campus and the roads around us. That'll be taking place on April the 22nd. So if you're interested, registration begins at noon at the College of the Muscogee Nation, and cleanup will begin at 1 o'clock and run till 3 with food, refreshments, great outdoor I don't know why I always say that. Great door prizes. So we hope that you can make this event as successful as it was last year. That's the Muscogee Creek Nation Recycling Center's putting it on, the Environmental Services. If you want to sign up, it's 918-549-2580.
I remember that last year, a lot of Muscogee Nation News got to go out there and cover it, along with Native News Today, and we made it a good day out of it. We got to, I know we picked up some trash, but we also followed along with a lot of the volunteers. And, I mean, I know a lot of the volunteers were with Muscogee Creek Nation, but there's quite a bit that weren't. There were some that were with churches, some that just found out about it and just wanted to help. And
that's a really popular project. I know a place I used to work in Alaska, in Anchorage, did that every year on a citywide kind of thing. And it's, you get out and you're cleaning up your community, you're making things happen and being part of a larger group. The only difference between up there and down here is we didn't find any snakes.
Yeah.
Which I understand they did last year.
Yes, a couple times.
So, yeah, there are a little bit of a kind of a catch to it.
Yeah.
Those are primarily the big announcements, except for the health budget line. You want to do that one?
Yeah, we can do that. Of course, attention citizens, Muscogee Creek Nation would like to give our citizens the opportunity to help by leaving your comments of solutions for the realignment of the MCN health system. We value your input. We will incorporate your ideas with our decision. Comments can be sent to healthbudget@creekhealth.org or call 918-756-4333, extension 271. If there's no answer, please leave your voicemail with your comment, name, and a callback number. And let's say if you'd like to send a letter, please address it to MCN Department of Health. Attention, John Beaver, Chief Legislative Officer. The address is P.O. Box 400, here in Milwaukee, Oklahoma, 74447.
No, you can't emphasize that too much. This is a chance for Muskogee citizens to become directly involved by leaving your suggestions and ideas behind. I know Chief Lloyd is working to find solutions to this incredible problem. So if you've got some input to share, I'm sure he would appreciate it.
We always hear everybody talk. Now's the time to put that into action. Please get a hold of Muscogee Creek Nation Department of Health. Please leave your comments and let them know what you think would be a great idea to help out with this, with what's going on.
And we have a series of requests for interviews that's in with Chief right now, and we're trying to work out the details of how that's going to work out with a lot of the principal movers in the health department regarding this restructuring, or however you want to put it. So we're going to have more coverage over that in the future, because there are some things that are happening while they're trying to recoup those third-party proceeds that that's been mentioned in the coverage. So we're going to see if we can get some answers on some particular subjects. So.
Right. We're right in the middle of Sexual Assault Awareness Month right now.
Yes.
I had a chance to speak with a couple of folks from the Family Violence Prevention Program on Muscogee Radio, Tanya Barden and Shannon Buchanan, and we talked about how we're doing, and I think they were confident that since we've been putting such a spotlight on the problem, there have been some changes in attitudes. More people participating in the programs that they offer, like for help and assistance, which is good. You don't know whether or not that's because the word is out or that the problem has multiplied. But I like to think it's because people are more confident in coming forward and getting the kinds of help that they're looking at.
I think you're right. I mean, now that they know that there's resources out there for people, I mean, if something would like that, God forbid, that to happen, there is help.
Right.
And they know the numbers now. They know if they need to get in touch with somebody. I mean, these are just people that you'll see every day around the complex, but they know that if you need their help, they'll be there in a heartbeat.
Yeah, this, you know, you become familiar with them, folks you know and should be hopefully comfortable with. They're about to launch the, well, actually, they just started the SANE program, the Sexual Assault Nurses Examiner. And that should be another asset for victims of sexual assault. And we say victims because it can be men,
Yeah.
and not just women.
You know, that's kind of rolls into that other part. I did a story on on the sexual assault nurse examiner, Lena Pizzolatto, you know, not too long ago, and she talked about, you know, what they did, how she got into it, and she was telling me that whenever she, you know, was going to school, you know, they said in her book there's a little bit, it touched briefly on that subject. So, and she thought that, you know, it needed to be, you know, brought out more. So that's why she kind of like wanted to, in a way, get more educated in that area. So that, and with this grant right here, you know, that was like a kind of a blessing, you know, I mean, I hate to say it, a blessing for that part, but it was a blessing that she got to be able to go for that position.
Well, it's a program that's not only for Muscogee victims, but also for the community too. So the outreach is much broader there. But for Native Americans, there's someone there that they can trust and become involved with. It's kind of nice to see that SANE is now becoming a reality there.
Yeah.
And those two staff members pointed out an interesting point that they are working now to tell men to stop, and not just for women to recognize the red flags or to come to them for help. They're adding this portion that would concentrate on men and saying, you know, it's not right to do that. You know, it's wrong. The old thinking of, well, you know, if the old lady, you know, is giving me a hard time, then I can just go ahead and knock her around. Well, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, it never has been and never will be. And I think they were able to share some information that was really very touching about some people that they had to deal with. And problem's still with us, but I think they are encouraged by what they see with people coming in for those services and feeling comfortable that they could share those stories, as horrible as some of them may be, and find a way to deal with them. So we're looking for wonderful things. You know, the Violence Against Women Act has now been enacted. We're looking at ways to get it fully implemented here and deal with some of the challenges and hurdles it has. So. The picture looks good as far as doing something about the sexual assault.
Anything else?
Well, let's see what else. We had an unfortunate incident with one of our light horse police officers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The good, the bad, and the ugly, folks. An officer there was caught shoplifting at a Walmart in Chicago in uniform. And of course, my first reaction is, oh boy, is that going to put a black eye on all of light horse? You know, deserved. It's not deserved. And hopefully it will stay just what it is. Somebody made a huge mistake. I think they probably ended their career. I know they were let go according to the material we got from the chief's office. They dealt with it according to their policies and procedures and let this officer go. I hope that doesn't discourage any of the other officers. I know they're not going to be happy about having one of their ranks do something as silly. But the other thought that occurred to me is they were in full uniform.
Full uniform there. And the excuse that she said whenever like she got picked up, she was saying that she was trying to test out the security at the Walmart. I mean, obviously, they did a good job. So I mean, they caught her. Yeah. So they were. And she pled, and the funny thing is, like, she pled not guilty on that. So, I mean, I want to see how far this this case can go. I mean,
if she's smart, just the way I see it, she'll take her punishment.
Yeah.
One interesting detail we didn't kind of publish or address is when I was looking at the court filing, they're giving her a little bit of time to find her own legal counsel. And I think that they scheduled the first hearing almost like a month or so out, even more than that, to allow her to do so.
Yeah.
That was Sterling Cosper, everyone. So
But being caught on videotape is
I know, yeah.
pretty damning evidence.
Yeah.
Another thing coming up later on this April, the 25th and the 26th, at the Tulsa Indian community, the longest walk number 5 is coming to our area. AIM activist Dennis Banks is leading a crew in their fight against drug and alcohol abuse and the destruction of our people through domestic violence in Indian country. So we'll have a number of people coming into that facility there, just north of the Jinx exit on 75 as you come south. They're looking for donations and volunteers. This is all on their own, and they're taking it on again. Now, we looked at this little flyer they have, and it's a historic event, according to them. But it's good for my heart to see that this kind of Indian activism is still alive. I mean, you don't hear much of it around here, and nationally it doesn't occur too much either. But Dennis is still out there. He's still going strong, I guess, in this battle against some of our biggest enemies there.
well, if I'm not mistaken, a couple years back, didn't we do an interview with, was it Dennis?
Yeah.
And it was in Muscogee at that time, and
Dana Tigers
yeah,
Gallery.
and it was like they were camped out there, they were resting, and luckily, I mean, we found out about it. We just like got in the vehicle and took off down there, and it was a great thing. He was a great interview. Somebody talked to you, and this is like very early stage. I think this might have been one of their first or second times.
I think so, yeah. Of course, Dennis is a longtime veteran in dealing with the media, so he knew what to say.
Yeah.
We've actually been contacted by his publicist, so he's going to be coming on the show in
Great.
conjunction
Another
with
great
that.
thing, yes.
Yeah, so that is April the 25th and 26th. Cultural exchanges, guest speakers, and fellowship with these folks. You can kind of give them a pat on the back for what they're attempting. They're walking all the way from California into the nation's capital, Disneyland on the Potomac. And so they were wanting to stop here, interact with our people here, and rest, of course, and these kind of things. So it's nice to see that element hasn't gone away from what we have to look at as far as Indian activism these days. And he's a little older, he isn't running anymore. It isn't the longest run, but it is the longest walk. So.
Next one, Art Under the Oaks, April 16th. During the Art Under the Oaks Festival Market, there will be a performance of the Dawes Commission at 2 and 4 in the amphitheater on Agency Hall. It is free to the public at the Five Civilized Tribes Museum. Great movie. It's a movie about our history, about when the Dawes Commission came to the Muscogee Creek Nation, and what the family how they had to deal with it. So it was. I got to view it at the NMAI when I was in DC.
Is it the movie or is it the production?
Let's look at this again. Oh, performances. It might be the production.
Yeah,
I'm thinking it's production. Yeah, thank you, Sterling. Yeah.
Now, isn't this in Muskogee?
This will be in Muscogee. Yeah.
In the language,
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
yes, it is.
cool.
There's a majority. I'm gonna say 98% of that. Besides the Stehetsky guy talking, he speaks English, but the rest of it's all Muscogee. Not until there's a certain part, and can't give out too much.
No, they don't.
Yeah,
They don't
so.
want to. A couple of other things here coming up pretty quick is the powwow at Bacone on the 16th. The usual sorts of things. Let's see, I've forgotten to check what this is. I don't believe this is a contest powwow, though.
Don't look like it. It just look like a
Good one. Got a lot of different tribes represented in their student body, so it's nice to see that they'll have this opportunity to put on this annual event and welcome people to come in.
Yeah.
Big one here.
Oh, the
School clothing.
annual school clothing program may start to apply May 2nd through December 31st. The program, it's a lot of information. It's starting January 1st, 2017, but you also may apply.
Is that on the Creek Nation website?
It should be. Let's look
See
for
if we can
that.
pull that up, 'cause
Yeah.
that's going to be a big mouthful.
Yeah, it is. So go ahead.
Continue. It provides a grant of $200 for each eligible Muscogee student once per year, and guidelines do apply. Usually those are income and family size and those sorts of things. So you might want to ask some questions before you get in there. But
And could you blow that and make that a little bit bigger for me, Darren?
if you're looking at this
Command
this
and
challenge,
plus and minus, it'll make it bigger.
it's the school
There
clothing
you
program. Here we
And
go.
Darren's got the eligibility requirements there. So if you go to the Creek Nation website, you can see they have all of those things listed. And is there an application for that? Do they have to fill out an application, or is it a come in only thing?
You can have it mailed out to you. You can have it faxed to you any way. You can or you can fill it out online.
Okay.
Yeah, they got any way you wanted to have it done. It can be done that way.
Yeah, there'll have to be some documentation. So
Yeah.
there has to be that application process, especially when you hand out cash. There's a fun one here.
Another one, MCN Junior Bot Ball Challenge, April 30th from 9 a.m. to 2. It'll be at the Tulsa Expo Square Pavilion. It's open to the public, free event, and saying come watch 500 students showcase their robots. And we've always had a good time. I mean, so.
I remember when the last one they had at the Dome, and there were all these kids down there, programming their robots, and all that stuff's going over my head. But these little guys here knew exactly what they were doing. And I remember one little scene where one team's robot wouldn't quite make the turn and then head up its alley, and they were sitting there talking about it, and one little one said, "I know how to fix that." And she went over and she banged on a computer a little bit, and they did the correct programming and things for this little unit, and bingo, there it was. It was like, oh my gosh, these kids are wonderful. Now this is not battle bots, so you're not going to see them beating each other up, but it's a delightful challenge for these kids, and it's just wonderful to see how involved they are, how they pick up these skills so quickly. I mean, as I say, that's way above my head. But they were working as team members. Said, well, you got to do this and do that, and they would get back to it. And said, yeah, we did it. No, wait a minute, that doesn't work. Let's try this. And they got them to push around these little cans and go around in circles and drive these little paths. So it was just delightful to see. And they're just little guys.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't just guys, by the way. It was a lot of young ladies were extremely skilled in what they were doing. We've got a fundraiser coming up at Tlapslaco. The town's Citizens Fundraiser is coming up on May the 14th at the Alabama Quasarte Community Building. That's Highway 27 northwest of Wetumpka. Lunch sale begins at 11. Bingo starts at 12:30. So if you want to get in there and play some good old bingo, there you are, Tlapslaco, and that's on the 14th of May. Okay, we still got a few more here.
Wow. Oh, another one, Stride for Education 5K run, sponsored by Muscogee Creek Nation Scholarship Foundation Program. It'll be on Saturday, May 14th. Registration begins at 7. The opening ceremony will begin at 8:15, and then you have your fun run and your little walk that starts at 8:30, and then, of course, the 5K will begin at 9. Awards and the ceremonies are about 10 o'clock after. It's a great thing. They're starting this back up. I know they had this like in the planning stages for a while, so it's great to hear that they finally getting this going. I'm looking forward to it because I'm actually going to run in it too.
Well,
So.
I was going to ask you that if you had participated in some of the runs, like during the festival and things like that. Are these really becoming popular? I mean,
They are more and more nowadays. I mean, a lot of people that just want to, that just working, doing everything to get more healthy. They just want to show off and say that they can do it, that they can do these, they can run or walk the 3.1 miles. I mean, a lot of people nowadays say that's easy. Trust me, I mean, it's not. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, people think it's just a flat area. I mean, you got little inclines and declines and stuff like that. You got the wind that you got to worry about, and also you got the pavement that does play a toll on shin splints and knees and your knees. So I mean, there's a lot of things to look into that. But I mean, it is quite an accomplishment when you do finish that. Even a 5K, even 3.1 miles, that is a big accomplishment. So
Now, are these really competitive? I can imagine there'll be some runners up there that are just really going at it, and then of course those are just sort of walking along just to do it.
Yeah, very competitive. I mean, you'll see the ones that are just they're right up there running. Those are the guys that probably get them within the 15 to 20 minute mark. I mean, they're going fast. I mean, you want to get out of their way. So, word of the wise, get out of the way and just let them go by. And but I mean, again, it's all in for good fun, and so it's a good for a good cause.
There is an entry fee, though.
Yes, there is. It is $20 for the fun run and walk, and then also it's $25 for the 5K. But and after May 1st and on the race day, it'll be $30. So if you want to get it in for that 20 or 25, please get it in now, way before May 1st. You can register online at Stride for Education, 2016.eventbrite.com. And if you just have any questions about it, please contact Jennifer Killian at 918-732-7763.
Okay, are you a golfer?
No.
Neither. I'm sorry.
We can make this short and sweet then.
Yeah. Why? Anyway.
Yeah.
Fountainhead, coming up golf tournament is June the 10th through the 12th at the Fountainhead Creek Golf Course in Chakotah. So if you're interested in that, prizes and things, including a new vehicle, I believe, according to this, and different challenges you can do with your team or as an individual. You want to get a hold of those folks by June the 1st. And you have to include payment with your registration. So you might want to find out what's going on there, because it's $200 for a team, $50 a person for those sorts of for entry fees. But there's lunch, cart, and green fee included.
It's always a great thing that comes with it with those golf tournaments. I mean, I'll take pictures of them, but me out there, I better not.
I bet Jason will.
Oh, Jason. Yeah, Jason's probably already there. Yeah.
Somehow I just never got into it. Just never. So you could do something else with all this land. Couldn't you? I'll have that's heresy. I'll probably have half of Oklahoma chasing me home.
Two parts Scottish.
Yeah. And okay, last of our ammo here is the Muscogee Youth Texting Club. Join by texting at MNYS to 81010. And they're looking for Muscogee parents and youth ages 12 and up. And you would receive the most up-to-date Creek Nation youth information. That's on activities like events, education, awareness, youth council, and more. So for when you're driving, don't be texting. And they're trying to do their part by having their materials available from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. And 8 a.m. when youth council meeting days. Simple, safe, and free. And remember, if you're out there texting, the Highway Patrol will bust your tail.
Yeah, please, if you want to join up on that, please text at MNYS to 81010. And I think that's the end of our announcements. We had a pretty good little lineup.
Oh, yeah, nice change. I think probably a nice little respite from all the heavy-duty kind of stuff we've been doing. Gosh, we hope that you're listening or watching, and you'll let us know how we're doing. We've tackled some really heavy topics, and we'll continue to do so. To my knowledge, no other tribe in this nation is doing this kind of thing. Just from my experience, they could be. There might be one or two here and there, but as far as I know, Muscogee Media is the only one doing this.
Exactly, and we're going to keep doing it. Like you said, we're going to keep doing it for you. So we hope if you have anything that you need us or like for us to cover anything, please feel free to give us a call. Or we got our email addresses on MuscogeeMedia.com. So every one of us that works here, we all have our email address. So feel free to get a hold of us any way you can, and our numbers too. But our main number is 918-732-7720. So anything else?
Please get a hold of us. We're constantly looking for new material. particularly Muscogee Radio. The newspaper will
Yes.
be delighted to see your submissions, and of course, talk to Jason about Native News Today. That's it for me.
And that'll wrap it up for Indian Time. I'm Darren DeLong.
Gary Fife, Jeho Jifkados.
Mado, have a great day.